All right, welcome everybody. If you are new, my name is Brittany Hayes and I'm your Ambassador Diamond Upline. And I'm just super excited about this Zoom tonight. We're gonna be talking about all things creating content. We're just gonna be really diving into adding value to your audience and everything that you do and really getting clear on what your message is. For me, and I'm convinced that this is the case for a lot of people, just not everyone has tapped into their own creative juices, so to speak, yet to realize it, but this is my most favorite part of the business. This is what brings me the most joy. This is what I'm the most passionate about. I love creating content. Like if I was ever to take a hiatus for a couple days and be off the grid where no one could reach me, I'd still sit there and just like create content, like in the peace and quiet with, nothing to do and no one to talk to. I would sit there and just like let like my wheels turn on like what kind of messages can I put out there? Like what else could I share? What's a great post I could write? What's a great live idea? Something that would add value, because this is just something that isn't a source of stress for me. It's like literally what's the most exciting thing for me. And I think so often when we don't feel that way, it's because we're not super clear yet on what we want our message to be. So we just feel like, oh, I don't really have much to add. I don't even know what to say. People don't care what I have to say, or whatever the things that you tell yourself. But what I want you to know is every single person on here has something to share. And whether you realize it or not, you have something very deep inside of you that you really want to bring out. I made a post a couple hours ago on my Facebook and Instagram. If you haven't seen it yet, you can read it after. But I basically just shared in the post that everyone, no exceptions, is a creator or a criticizer, one of the two. And even if you're, scared to share your message or you don't know what your message would be, you're still finding your voice, whatever. You're a creator or you're a criticizer. You can recognize the creators and the criticizers in your life very easily. The creators, even if they're not yet actively creating, they cheer you on. They're happy. They smile at your posts. They click like on your posts. They're excited, to see you win. They clap when you win. They cheer you on. They may not yet be creating themselves, but they're always happy to see you thrive. That is that's characteristics of a true creator. And then I'm sure I don't have to explain to you guys what a criticizer is. The criticizer is the people that are always telling you what you're doing wrong, always complaining, always having something negative to say, never lifting anyone up, just tearing everyone down. That is the criticizers. And so every single person is a creator or a criticizer. I refuse to believe any of you guys on here are criticizers, because I don't think you would have ever joined the business if you were. I think you joined this business because you knew you had something inside of you to offer. And you knew you had a message that you could share, and you knew you had something to give, and you saw hope when you saw this business, and that's why you joined. And so maybe you haven't gone clear in your message yet, but your innate desire is to create. And so I hope after tonight you hear some tips that tangibly help you go out and do just that. So first things first, pull out your notebooks. The first thing I want to talk about is knowing what your message is. So what's your message? And this is not the same thing as your brand. You guys have heard people say before, like, oh, write your 5 pillars, and that's great. And hopefully everyone on here has done that. There's some really great videos on YouTube. I know Alyssa has one on her YouTube that's phenomenal. She calls it like your pillars. And actually, if you download her social media little booklet and connect, I think it's like page 28 or something. I could be totally wrong on the page number. I think it's 28, but it's definitely in there. So if it's not 28, just keep flipping around. It's somewhere. But she has a page that specifically is on the pillars. And so knowing what your 5 pillars are, like faith, family, fitness, whatever, is huge. But that's not even your message. You can know what your 5 pillars are and still not really be getting clear on your message. So we're going to talk about what's your message. So for me, and like if you look at my posts, you're going to see this theme all over the place. If you watch my lives, you read my posts, you follow my stories, like you're going to see these things I'm about to share with you. I just jotted down like a couple of things. So I'm really passionate about empowering women with my message. Sharing simple implementations that make life better. I like to give life hacks, like anything that's going to make your life better. I'm all about that. Real talk that takes a weight off of you, but also offers you solutions. So I'm not all about just like validating you and like, let's have a pity party together, but I want to like talk very candidly about things that other people are, not talking about or scared to talk about, those taboo subjects, whatever. But I want you, after you feel validated, to have a clear solution. Like I want you to feel so empowered after watching a live like that for me, to where you walk away like feeling like, okay, I'm not crazy, or I'm not just a basket case mom over here. Like other people are dealing with what I'm dealing with, but here's some great tangible tips I can take and grab hold of to make my life better. That's something I'm super passionate about sharing in my messages. Encouraging faith over fear is another big one for me. Being a light, sharing relatable messages. I came from, if you follow my story, you know, I came from like a really, really legalistic background. And so I'm really passionate about reaching those people who've maybe like turned away from church because they felt like they could never do anything right, or they felt judged, or maybe a tragedy happened in their life and the church turned their back on them. Maybe something happened and, you know, rumors spread about them in the church, and they left a church they grew up at and never really found one that felt quite as, you know, as home-like as that one. Whatever the case may be, I think there's so many people out there like that, and I can relate to that. So I love sharing relatable messages that are going to uplift and like point people back to God and realize like, hey, that's not how it has to be. Even just simple things like tagging Dr. Darius Daniels and Stephen Furtick in my stories and my posts. Those are things like I've had so many of my followers who I don't know in real life who've messaged me on Instagram and been like, hey, thanks for linking that sermon. I watched it and it really spoke to me. I've never heard anyone preach like that. And so just little things like that, I'm super passionate about and I try to implement in. And then just like, again, just kind of going back to that, like helping people heal from a lifetime of like that type of judgment or whatever background they came from. Because I think so many people don't have someone being a light in their life who's going to like give them like tangible resources to like work through those things. So those are just some things, to name a few, of things that are like a part of my message. And I hope that that got your wheels turning for like, what are some things you want to be your message? Because I promise you, you have things, even if you haven't really like thought about it, you have things very deep that you're really, really passionate about, that you lie awake at night and think about, or you think about when you're in the shower, or maybe like you hear something and you start thinking about it. When you're driving, it crosses your mind, and then you just quickly dismiss it. You're like, oh, well, I couldn't really speak that well on that, or I don't even know if that many people could relate to it. Whatever it is, like you dismiss it. And I'm sure some of you are already like thinking about that. You're like, oh, that's totally me. So what I want to encourage you is like, let these ideas, even if those aren't the same things you want to be a part of your message, like let those ideas help you get your wheels turning and really get real with yourself. Don't tell yourself like, oh, I just would like to help people, you know, lose weight. Like we all have deeper things to share. And so what I hope you get away from this Zoom is like, when you go deep, that's when your brand is really going to be strengthened. But then that's when your audience's loyalty to you is going to be really, really strengthened, because they now get to see you for who you are, and they see you for someone who they can relate to and they can always come to get value from. Whether it's, you know, this tip or that tip, they know that they can always get something that's going to be, you know, really, really, what's the word I'm thinking of? Just something that's just going to make their life better, whether it's making something as simple as making them smile, or something as simple or something as, you know, substantial as like a tangible item that's really going to make their life better. They know when they come to you that they're going to get great things. They're going to get great content. So how can you share that? Like, now that you know what your message is, you're already getting your wheels turning, you've written some things down. First of all, you got to get the courage to just start boldly sharing it. If something's on your heart, the best tip I can give you, before I kind of go back to like my tangible tips, the best tip I can give you is you have to go for it when it's on your mind. Like if I feel alive stirring inside of me and I'm like, oh, I need to go live about this, I will literally go get ready really fast if I'm not already ready. Or if I'm already ready, I'll just like walk outside and I'll just do it. Like you got to like 3, 2, 1, go. You can't sit there and just think about it for days upon days upon days, because then all these great thoughts that were in your head, they've already left you. And then you're going to forget about it. Life happens. You don't feel near as confident as you did 3 days ago, you know? So when you feel that idea, you got to do it. If you feel a great idea for a post, even if like your life's chaotic and your kids are running around being crazy, go ahead and just start jotting down some of the basic lines for the post. Like what I do, you guys, like literally this is like how simple my like posting, when I have my wheels turning, like what it looks like in my notes. I literally will pull up my notes, and like, for example, earlier when I was getting my hair done, before that, I had written down a few things about being a creator, which is the post I just made tonight. And I wrote literally a few lines about just like, I'm a creator. And then I wrote like, there's 2 types of people, creators and criticizers, just like a few things. That's it. And then when I was sitting down getting my hair done and I had nothing else to do, no distractions, they're just washing my hair for me, I like pull up my phone and I just start typing the post, like filling in the gaps of the things I had already written. I did that last night with the post about my dad always told me he would rather work hard for himself than work hard for someone else. I don't know if you guys saw that post, but I had actually written that opening paragraph like the day before. I just wrote that opening paragraph on my notes because I was pondering his words he had said to me, and I'm like, this would make a great post. And I didn't want to forget it, so I just wrote that opening paragraph. You can always go elaborate later when you have more time to concentrate, but the best thing you could do is when an idea for a post comes, at least write the baseline for it so you don't forget that. If you have an idea for a story, most of the time, I would say just do it right then and there. Just go ahead and make it happen. Unless it's something that like is a little more complicated, then at least like jot the idea down so you can do it later. Some things that I love doing that I'm going to share with you guys is like incorporating like products or business into like a life hack I'm giving, or something I'm just showing people that I own or I have or whatever. So for example, like I don't know if you guys saw my story tonight. It was pretty recent, like an hour ago. So you maybe haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I was like talking about being a dolphin, the chronotype quiz. I talked about that yesterday, you guys, and it blew up. I put it in my story. I asked everyone to message me what their chronotype was. And literally everyone started taking the quiz. I put the link in my story. People started taking it, replying to me. Like literally everyone was a bear. Everyone's like, I'm a bear, I'm a bear, I'm a bear. Had 2 people tell me they were dolphins, and everyone else was a bear. And so that started like so many conversations, and it was really cool to see people who I've never talked to message me what their chronotype was. That shows you they're watching everything you do, right? And then I talked about it more tonight when I was eating my carbs for dinner, and I was just being funny. And I was like, you guys, now that I know I'm a dolphin, I'm reading about being a dolphin, and dolphins are supposed to have their protein in the morning and their carbs at night. And so I like was showing what Zach had made and showing me eating it. Well, not actually me like stuffing my face on camera, but you guys know what I mean. And then after I like finished that story and uploaded it, I like got an idea like, oh, I should grab my fat fighters and just talk about this real quick. So I grabbed the bottle of fat fighters and I just said, I like wrote on the slide one more thing. And then I just said, if we've never talked about fat fighters, let me tell you real quick, I take these every time I eat carbs, blah, blah, blah. And I just like really quick, like 30 seconds, talked about fat fighters, and then just said, message me if you want to get some with my discount. They're great to have on hand. So I did this exact same concept when Mira was here, which was like the end of December. And we were having, I think cookies Zach had made, I don't remember. He made something and we were eating whatever it was. And I did a story about us eating that and how he was making us this late night food, which was so not good, and bringing us drinks. And I'm like, but at least we have our fat fighters. And then I started rambling about fat fighters and saying, if you've never had these, you got to try them. They're great to have on hand. Like, we're not even going to feel as bad as we would because we have these. Literally the next morning, I had a guy who's probably like, honestly, he's probably close to 60, messaged me on Facebook and said, hey, I would like to buy some of those fat fighters you were talking about in your story for me and my wife. That sounds like the perfect thing for us to have on hand. So like, who would have thought, just being like goofy and like sitting there with my friend talking about eating cookies late at night, but then sliding in the fat fighters. But literally it was this very simple customer from it. And so those are great ways to like incorporate products with also showing people into your life, because people love to see what you're doing. And so rather than just like putting a story that just is like a picture of the product, which I'm not saying don't do that. If you've been doing something, let me preface this. If you've been doing something that's working for you and you're enrolling, don't stop it. This is just more ideas to amplify your business and to really, really hone in on like your content creation. Does that make sense? But this is my favorite way to incorporate products, because I can just be me. I can share about my life. I can be so real and so genuine. Like they see my messy house in the background or see me sitting there in the dark lighting, whatever. And then I can just slide in the products. So I also did the same thing. I'm just giving you guys a few more examples. I got a cosmetic fridge for Christmas. I'm sure some of you guys saw me post about it. But I put that in my story and was like talking about it one day. And then I got people saying, I'm like, oh, what is this? I want to know more about it. I've never heard of it, whatever. So I did another story talking about it and like showing them inside and what I put in it. And in that story, I was drinking my collagens and super reds. I said, I just got done dancing. I'm still in my dance wear, drinking my collagens and super reds. This is what I drink every time when I finish dancing. Like makes me feel like $1 million. Now I'm in here doing my skincare routine. This is my cosmetic fridge, you know, the whole 9 yards. And literally had someone message me that same day and they bought collagen and super reds. So like, think of creative ways. Like you don't have to have a cosmetic fridge or have like a husband who cooks for this to work. Think of things that you're already doing or you already have. Maybe it's something new you got for Christmas, or it's your kids' new toy or new gadget they got for Christmas. And you're just going to pop in there for 30 seconds and you're just going to share about it and show everybody that. Like, it may seem so simple, but people are so nosy. They want to see what's going on in other people's lives and they're very interested. Like, that's things that like, you know, they're just sitting there bored. And I mean, think about it, you guys, people love watching reality TV. They love to watch your life. They love to see what's going on. And so show people like something you're doing and just pop something in. Like maybe it's, you know, you're putting together Legos with your kids they got for Christmas. You're showing them on your story. And then you're like, yeah, this is why I take my Confianza, my anti-stress, anti-anxiety supplement. helps me focus, you guys, helps me like keep my cool with these 1,000 pieces. You got to get some on hand. It's $1 a day, and it like literally saves my life more than I could tell you, you know, just like literally something that simple. So I don't want to go on too much about this one part, but I'm just trying to get your wheels turning. So hopefully your wheels are turning. You're already thinking about some things you can share, some things you can do. The more personal you are, you guys, the better. The more you can show people into your world, the better. And just find creative ways to talk about business while you're letting them into your life, creative ways to talk about products while you're into your life. I'll like, while I'm videoing stuff going around in my house, I'll talk about this is why I love working from home. And so people who maybe for some reason never realized I work from home up to this point, that they'll hear that and they'll be like, oh, what is she talking about? So just little things like that. Okay, so another thing I wanted to kind of share about is just the concept of like the book, jab, 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 right hook. A lot of you guys have probably heard me talk about that before. I've mentioned it in a few Zooms. I think I talked about it on the call with Pam a couple months ago, but it's a phenomenal book by Gary Vee. They only have a hardcover, they don't have an audio, and it looks like this. But he's basically, you guys, one of the world's best marketers. Like arguably is the world's best marketer, but he's phenomenal at what he does, like straight attraction marketing. He's got great tips. Like he's one of those guys, you either love him or you hate him, but regardless, like you can't deny the guy's good at what he does. And so I absolutely got so much value from this book after hearing about it from, I think I heard about it on my coaching with Rachel Hollis, I can't remember, but it's a book that just basically, in a nutshell, even if you don't read the book, this is what it's about. He talks about you should have posts or lives or whatever that serve your audience and do nothing for you. Like the whole concept of like jab, 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 right hook is like for every time you throw a right hook, which is like when you are posting about products, you are posting about business, you are going in for the ask, you have 3 that are adding value. And so because you're throwing your jabs and you're adding your value, when you come forward and you throw the right hook, they feel so loyal to you and they feel like they know you and they've enjoyed your content so much, they feel like they would be so rude to not respond. Does that make sense? They feel like they have to buy from you. They know you, like you're who they want to buy from. This like basically in a nutshell is the whole concept of people buy people, not products. And so you want to be a person they think of when it's time to address their need. You want to be a person that they think of when it's time to buy product. You want to be who, when they see you post about products, they're like, okay, I'm going to go with her because she's so funny, or she's always giving great tips, or she's so encouraging, she's so inspiring. And those are some also things you can be thinking of with your message. Like for me, I want people to think that I'm very encouraging, very inspiring, very empowering. I want them to know that they'll never have to like cower down when they're around me. If anything, I want them to walk away from talking to me or reading my posts and stand up a little bit taller. That's my goal with my posts. And so you got to figure out like, what is my goal with my posts? When I start sharing my message, what do I want people to feel? Do I want them to laugh? Do I want them to smile a lot? Do I want them to, you know, really feel this compelling urge to be bold, to be brave? Do I want them to stand up taller? Like, what is it? That will also help you get really clear on what your message is, if you can kind of like dive into like, how do you want your audience to feel when they're around you? Some other things, just some other tips to get your wheels turning is show people life hacks, simple tips, things they need, easy steps that they can take to make a change. It doesn't just have to be, so if you guys saw the video I did 2 days ago, I did a video titled, I think, 3 simple steps to make lasting change in 2020. So I don't just mean easy steps for that. I mean easy steps for anything, whether it's like curling your hair, you know, makeup tutorial, whatever. Showing them like simple ways to accomplish things is huge. I'm going to share a story really quick because not everyone's in the January chat. And then when this Zoom gets circulated around months to come and we've got new people watching it, I want everyone to hear this story because this is also going to funnel into something else I'm going to share, another tip for you guys on really maximizing both platforms. Sorry guys, I've got the hiccups. Let me get some water. Okay, excuse me. But I had a live that I did 2 days ago, and it was titled like 3 simple steps to make lasting change in 2020. And I just really broke down like a way that you can create lasting change for yourself. Obviously, I talked about like your step 1, which is like your first month, really getting some good habits in, removing something bad from your diet, drinking more water, adding your supplements. And then step 2, like really honing in on your diet, exercising more. And then step 3, really perfecting it. And that's another thing, I didn't really mention this, but that's a big part of like my message is like simplicity. So like, I'm all about people realizing like, you don't have to go have this insane workout routine. You don't have to have a gym membership to be healthy. You don't have to be on a diet. Like, it's just some simple choices you make that when you make one right after the other and you build upon it, make it habits, like you're going to feel incredible and you're going to be able to stick to it. That's a big part of what I want people to like pick up from my message, and just like anytime they hear me talk about health and wellness. So that's another thing too, get your wheels turning on like, how do I really want to communicate like my take on health? Like, what do I think it means to be healthy? What do I think it means to, you know, be the best version of yourself? Because that's something important to know, because we're obviously in a health and wellness company. So anyways, I did this live, and I went and I shared the live in my story. So I'm gonna try not to be confusing about this. I made a post of me just like in my dance wear, and I put that same picture in my story. And I said, if you missed my live, my Facebook live on 3 simple steps to make lasting change in 2020, go check it out. And then I put the link to my Facebook live. So I did this on Instagram, okay? Put the link. And then I made a post on my Instagram and Facebook in the same picture in my dance wear. And I just said something like how after 5 kids, I feel better than ever, thanks to some simple things I'm doing, like fat burning coffee, dancing, whatever. And it was actually a coffee post. I said, drop a coffee emoji and I'll send you info and a discount. Well, I put some hashtags on the post. Someone found me through a hashtag, saw the post, they were interested in the coffee. And then because they were now following me, they're like, oh, I'm gonna go watch her story. They watched my story, they saw that same post with a link to my live, went and watched the Facebook live. And then after watching the Facebook live, sent me this long message, how it spoke to them. They've been on this incredible journey, like learning to love themselves more and making, you know, simple changes that they can, you know, do forever, things they can make lasting change from. The live just really confirmed a lot of things for them. They'd written down my tips, put them on their fridge. They wanted to order the things I was talking about. Crazy story. Obviously, it doesn't always happen that way, but that was a really cool reminder for me that when I was like a crazy person directing them from the post to the story to the live, that it was for a purpose, because she would have never found that had I not done that. And so that kind of leads me to my next thing I wanted to talk about, and that is really maximizing your like all the platforms. And so what I like to do, and I don't do this all the time, so I share this tip like with also saying, like, I want to preface with, don't let this be a tip that stresses you out. If you're just starting in your business, this may be something you come back to later. But if those of you that are already in a great routine with posting, a great routine with stories, your wheels are turning right now on how to like better share your message, but you're like, yeah, I'm ready to level up. I'm ready to amp up what I'm doing more. This is for you, okay? So I heard this tip several months ago, and it was about maximizing your social media platforms and how some people see your stories, but they don't see your posts. Some people see your posts, but they don't see your stories. I just like, spoiler alert, you guys, I don't watch a lot of stories. I'm still old school and read posts more than I do stories. So I'm like a classic example of someone who's reading posts more. There's people that are the flat out opposite of me. They watch everyone's stories and they rarely scroll and read posts anymore. So you just never know. You have people from both in your audience, and then you have people that watch it all. So the tip I heard was that because you have people who watch one or the other, you want to make sure that you're like, if you want to really ramp up views for your story, direct people to your story from your post. Like, just mention something about your story in your post. Like, check out my story for more behind the scenes. Like, maybe it's like a picture of, you know, this is a big example, because I know obviously we don't go on family vacations all the time, but maybe you're on family vacation. You take a great picture, you make a post about it, and then you say, check out my story for more behind the scenes fun that we're having. Does that make sense? So then now what that does is someone who maybe wouldn't normally watch your story because they don't really care about stories, they're like, oh, let me go watch it. And then now that's ramping up your story views. You see what I'm saying? And now they're going to see the content you're putting in your stories, and they're going to be more likely to watch your stories again later because they're like, oh, she put some, you know, good stuff here. And you can do that with anything. Maybe it's just something you're doing with your kids. You did a still shot, a picture of like a craft y'all are doing at home. You're like, check out my story for the tutorial how we did this. So just anything at all, simple or big, that you can direct them to your story for. Does that make sense? And as I'm going, you guys, if you guys have questions, put them in the chat so that way I can come back to it. And then on the flip side, with your, so you can do post to stories, and then you can do stories to post. So you could do a story, like let's say it's your host to post giveaway. You could do your main post about host to post about your giveaway on your Instagram and on your Facebook. And then you can do a story that says, if you missed my $500 cash giveaway I'm doing, head on over to my Instagram, or head on over to my Facebook, or head on over to my page, however you want to say that, to enter. And so that's hitting all the people that are viewing your story but don't typically see your post. They're going to be like, oh, let me go see. And not only are they going to see that post, but they're going to your page. They're probably going to see a few other posts too. So that's just like, you know, the host to post example. That's just one example, but you can do that a lot with like stories to post. The other example is like in your lives referencing your posts or your stories. So if you guys watch my lives, you know I do this on like every live. I'll be like, I don't know if you guys saw my post last night, but, or I'll say, you know, I don't know if you guys have been watching my stories, but I put some really great stuff in my story this morning. You got to go check it out. So just like casual things. I feel like it's really easy to share about it in your live. So if like, even those of you who are like just getting started, this is a basic tip, just like in your live, send them back to the post, send them back to stories. And then in your post, you can reference your live. So like maybe it's a post you do later in the evening, you did a live earlier that day. You can say something like, if you missed my Facebook live earlier, you'll have to go check it out. I just shared some things that have been stirring within me straight from my heart, but I also was thinking about some things tonight, blah, blah, blah. And then go into your actual post, but like directing them to the live. So that way people who didn't see the live are now going to go watch it. And then last but not least, Facebook to Instagram and vice versa. So you can on Facebook say like, if you're not following me on Instagram, head over to @BrittaniHayes and be sure and follow me so you don't miss out on anything. I share some special stuff over there. Or on Instagram, say like, if you're not following me on my Facebook, I'm doing an incredible giveaway on my Facebook right now. Head on over and click follow. So just like little things like that to get people like following you on both platforms is huge, because the way the algorithm works, they could be following you on both, but seeing more of you on one. Like I have people who 100% see more of me on Instagram than they do Facebook for whatever reason. And so those are just some hacks for you, like maximizing the platforms. And again, that's not something you have to do every time you make a story or every time you make a post. Just like do it when you really like see a creative angle to do it at and make it count. And you're going to start slowly seeing like your views increase, your live views increase, and your posts start getting more interaction too. When I started really doing this a couple months ago, my engagement skyrocketed, especially on Instagram and my story views. Like it really, really went up a lot. And I started seeing people that were not my Facebook friends watching my live, and not just people who follow me from the business, like Instagram people coming over and watching Facebook lives. So those are really, really cool things to do. And then kind of going back to things you can share, just like getting your wheels turning. I forgot to say this, but I mentioned like, you know, telling them things they need or maybe things they don't need, like giving them like a, you know, a mind-blowing moment where you're telling them something. I shared something on my live, I think it was my live. Yeah, it was my live a couple days ago about how face wipes are actually really bad for your skin. They age you faster, they pull your face down. I had so many people message me. They're like, I never knew that about face wipes, but I started Googling it after you said it. And I found all these dermatologists that, you know, validated what you were saying. I would have never known. I'm never buying these anymore. Thanks for the tip. So just like crazy things, like if you know something that you know maybe isn't common knowledge, go like seriously, like throw it in a live, throw it in a story. Like people love when you blow their mind like that and you share something that they didn't know. And people are so appreciative when you like give them a tip. Like in my video, I talked about better ways to take care of your skin. I talked about using baby washcloths or muslin cloths or whatever. And so just like little things you can do that don't necessarily have anything to do with the business are going to come back to you full circle and amp up your business results in the long run, because people feel like they can trust you. They're like, wow, this girl knows her stuff. So whatever you're passionate about, maybe it's not skincare, maybe it's not makeup, maybe it's something totally different. Like, you know what you're an expert in. Everyone on here is an expert in something, I promise you. So start sharing about that and start really adding value in that subject. And you're going to see that people really, really start like drawing into you more. And this is a great thing to do if you notice your engagement is low. If you notice your engagement's low, it's probably because you've been a walking billboard for a little too long. And that, I don't say that like meanly, I say that with love. I've done it before too. And if I notice my engagement taking a dip, I usually like take a step back and look at, okay, what do I need to tweak? What do I need to do better? Because sometimes it is just as simple as that. Like, we kind of fell off our horse, we've stopped adding value, and people are just kind of bored. They're like, I'm seeing the same old stuff. And when we can like really step in and start adding value again, people start getting more interested again. And that's usually when you'll see your enrollment start coming right back up with it. So other things to do, offer validation and then a simpler, better way to do things. So like this kind of applies with the tip I was giving about the gym. Like, I'll validate someone that it's not necessary to go to the gym, but then I'll also come and tell you, but you need to walk every day, or you need to dance, or you need to, do push-ups at home and plank. Like, I like to give that validation about things where someone's already feeling overwhelmed, but then give them a solution that I know they can stick to. I know that if they stick to it, that'll be way better for them than going to the gym, because they're going to do it. So the gym's just one easy example for me to give, because it's something I talk about a lot. But whatever it is for you, like, just think of areas you can meet a need and ways that you can really come in and be a light in people's life. You can offer solutions, you can offer life hacks, tips, tricks, you name it. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm gonna come over to the chat. Sorry, I'm just now reading all the questions. Okay, so if you do a video with a product on your stories, do you also make a post at the same time about the same product? So it just honestly depends. That's just something I'm very go with my gut. Like, I do whatever I feel like I need to do in the moment. And so sometimes I am doing a video of a product in my story, like me mixing it or me drinking it or me handing my kids a product or whatever, but I'm not necessarily going to stop and make a post about it. The video was way more effective. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to go make a post about it too. And then sometimes I might do a video of me mixing it, and then I might do a really pretty picture afterwards as a post that Zach took of me holding the product before I drink it or something. And then with that same picture, I might put that on my story too after the video with like a poll saying like, if you would like to get your hands on some and try some, click an option below and I'll send you info. So that's just one little idea. But to answer the question, I don't always do both. It's usually whatever I'm feeling led to do, if that makes sense. Ashley said, people want simplicity in our fast-paced world too. Absolutely. That's why, like, and I always laugh in my lives and say, I'm sure the gym people hate me because it sounds like I'm like ragging the gym, but people want simplicity. And I want more than ever, like my customers, I want them to stick to something. So I know that the gym's going to be the first thing you drop when you're traveling, when you're on family vacation, when your kids are sick, when, you have all these things thrown at you at once. Like, that's going to be the first thing that you don't do for a week. But if you already have something you do at home that takes you 20 minutes, that's like ingrained in you, that isn't a big deal, you can do it anytime, you're a lot more likely to do that. Like, my routine, I can do even if I'm traveling, you know what I mean? And so I'm really passionate about sharing with people hey, if you want to get healthy, let's set yourself up for success. Let's not set yourself up for failure by getting on this rigid routine and rigid schedule that is going to be the first thing to go when life throws a curveball at you. Okay, so Ashley said, how do you share the link from Facebook to IG story? Okay, so I have swipe up, so that's how I do mine, but you can only have swipe up if you have over 10,000 followers, which I know a couple of you on here do. So you can do that in your swipe up. The ones of you who don't have 10,000, let that be a motivation to get to 10,000 really fast. But I also think you can just add the link. I'm going to try this real quick. I'm pretty sure when you go to type something, I'm pretty sure you can paste a link. Try it. Don't quote me on it. If you can't, I'll see if I can figure something else out, but I'm pretty sure you can paste it, like when you would go to write. I know you can do that with some other stuff, so I'm pretty sure. You'll have to try that. Worst case scenario, if you couldn't link it, what you could do is you could say, if you missed my Facebook Live on 3 easy steps to get healthy, go check it out. And then you could, on the next screen, share a screenshot of your Facebook, like what your Facebook looks like. And then say, feel free to add me or follow me on Facebook. My live is the latest thing you'll see. So, there's always ways around things. Before I had 10,000 followers, I was always getting creative on doing things that I didn't have that feature yet. So never write yourself off and think oh, I don't have access to this or that. Be solution minded, and you're just going to see your creativity just flow even more. Okay, so product question. Okay, I think that already got answered. Okay. Can you ever do too much, as in post, product post, live posts? In my opinion, no, not if you're being authentic. Yes, if you're being a walking billboard and you're just straight ads all the time, but not if you're being authentic. You can never create too much content. Both Gary Vee and Grant Cardone say that you should be so hold on. Gary Vee says you should be creating 100 pieces of content a day, which I know I just blew some of your minds. You're like, what? I don't even know, but he swears by it. I'm not there yet, so I'm not going to tell you oh, I guess I do 100 a day, but that's what he says to do. And he means it by little stories, your posts, your lives, everything combined. So today I think I had 30 things in my story. So I guess I can see where it wouldn't be that hard to do if you were in the habit, but I'm not telling anybody to do 100 pieces of content. in a day right now. I'm just saying start being intentional. Just being intentional on like what you are doing, because once you get clear on your message and you start really utilizing these tips, it'll naturally grow with time. You might go from 3 great pieces a day to 10 in a couple months, because you're now getting in a good flow and you're just sharing what's on your heart. So yeah, short answer, no, not if you're being authentic. Also stories, you really can't overdo stories. Like you really, really can't. Stories are where it's at. Instagram lets you do, I think it's 100 stories a day. So there's no way to overdo stories. Like whatever you want to throw up in your story, throw up. Just make sure you're not being spammy. Like you're really showing people your life, what you're doing, whether it's a quick video of you. I've been loving using the hands-free feature. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, when you swipe, okay, so you're on Instagram and you just swipe left, okay? So you go down to the bottom where it says normal, boomerang, layout, super zoom, hands-free. So then I just turn the camera facing me, and then I just like click the button. So then it's just gonna start recording. So you don't have to do anything, it's just recording you. So I use that feature all the time whenever I'm just talking to people about whatever I just like felt led to share. And again, it can be something so simple like my cosmetic fridge, like, or my kids dancing or whatever. Like tonight I showed Silas walking Mason around like a dog. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that. It was so dumb, but it was so funny. And people were like replying nonstop laughing at it. So just like anything in your life, in your house, anything you're doing, a tip, a trick, it doesn't matter. Like share in your story. And then for posts, I mean, obviously you don't want to do like 100 posts a day. Posts, I think a great number, I've always said this, I think it's 3 to 6. I try to always get 3. And if it's a day I just have tons of stuff going, I've got all the creative juices in the world flowing, then I might have more. But I try to really make my posts count, and then put more things I'm thinking in my story. I try to go live like once a week. I do think, and some people would disagree with me on this, so just, you take this however you want to take it with a grain of salt. But for me, I think lives are a lot more effective if you do them like once a week. I don't think it's near as effective if you're going live every day. Unless you are going live at the same time every day and people were looking forward to that morning live. Do you know what I mean? I know some people do that. Like they have a morning live every single morning or an evening live every evening before bed. That's different. But I think rather than just going live about random stuff, 3 minutes showing your cat running around, that's more for your story. Like put that in your story. Make your lives count so people want to come back and watch more. You know what I mean? So like when I go live, I try to come with a purpose. Like it's something that's been stirring inside of me and I really want to share these tips. I really want to share, this thing I think people should buy or whatever it is. It's something that I really think is going to bring a lot of value and I'll do a live about it. But that's not every day. Every day is more stories. Okay, let's see what else. You can put, oh yeah, and Bianca said you can put your Facebook link in your IG bio, and that is so true. So if you find out you cannot add the link in your Instagram story for your Facebook live, what you could do is do a post in your Instagram story. If you missed my live, go check it out. The link is in my bio, and then that's just directing them to click it in your bio. So that's super good solution. Thanks for suggesting that, Bianca. Okay, I'm still reading questions. If you guys have any last minute questions, put them in the chat so we can go over them real quick. Okay. Should our social media accounts be public to get more followers? Okay, so Samantha, I recommend being public on Facebook no matter what stage of the business you're in, whether you're new today or you've been in 5 years, like public on Facebook always. And if you're not public on Facebook, I'm telling you, you are missing out. I get so many customers and distributors who see my post, and this has happened since I was new, you guys. This happened when I was like executive. They would see my post because their friend liked my post or their friend commented on my post. So it would come up on their newsfeed, Ashley liked Brittani Hayes' post or Ashley commented on Brittani Hayes' post because I was public, they could see that. And then they would see it and then they would be interested. I signed customers that way, you guys, early on in the business, distributors, and it still happens to me today. When I check my message requests folder, I either have messages from like distributors or I have messages from random people who saw me from someone and they want to join the team or want to become a customer. So public on Facebook always. I was private on Instagram until May, and it really helped me get my followers up being private because I just found people were more likely to follow me back because they didn't know who I was, so they had to request me to see who I was. I went public in May, and I mean, it's been fine. I'm happy I'm public, but I do think when you're getting your number up, it's better to be private, in my opinion. And some people will 100% tell you to be public, but I just think, here's my thing. While you're building your brand and you're really getting better at these things we're talking about, be private, because you want to make sure you're like, while you're in that learning curve and you're creating, getting better at creating more content, really getting clear, honing in on what your message is, and really getting in that habit and that groove of adding tons and tons of value, be private. That way they're going to request you back. And they're not just going to like scope you out and see if they want to follow you back. Once you've gotten it nailed down pat, you've got a pretty decent following already, and you're in a great groove and you're so confident about your stuff, you're like, oh, I've been nailing what I'm like wanting to come across, then absolutely go public, because then you can start utilizing hashtags for people to find your stuff and all that. Like that's pretty much how I grow my following now, is hashtags. Every day from hashtags, I probably get about, I would say like 20 followers or so. I don't know, give or take. But yeah, don't worry about that until you've gotten these basic things lined out, and then you can transition into learning, that segment. And I'll definitely do a Zoom later on about growing on Instagram once you are public. But again, I don't think it's really useful until you've gotten these things down pat. So, okay. So if anyone has any last minute questions, speak now or forever hold your peace, but we're going to go ahead and go. We're a few minutes over time, but I think this was really, really good. So I'm excited we were able to get on here tonight and talk about all these things. And I love the questions. I thought these were great questions that I know a lot of people had, and, really helped a lot of people. The last thing I wanted to share with you guys is that, again, I know I kind of said this in the beginning, but don't believe the lie that the enemy would love for you to believe, that you don't have a story to tell or you don't have anything to offer. I promise you, some of you who have walked the darkest roads absolutely have the biggest impact possible that you can make if you'll just figure out how to use your voice and use what has happened to you in a way that you can be a light in other people's lives. The moment I started realizing like I could share things that I had gone through, or share insecurities I had had, or whatever, and I could really like spin it in a positive way where I could help someone else who maybe had gone through something similar heal from that. That was when I really started seeing people come out of the woodworks really, really attached to what I had to say and really coming for more. And I'm going to tell you, like, when you get in that groove, it's really empowering to you too, because when you have days when like the world's spinning and like the crap's hitting the fan and everything's going wrong, you're reminded that there's people that you are the biggest light in their life. And that's sad, but it's true. Like there's people that don't even know you. You're their social media friend, and you're more positive than anyone in their real life. Just let that sink in. There's people that their family's so negative, the people they work with are so negative, they don't have any close, meaningful relationships in their life, and you are the most positive person in their life. And so when I'm reminded of that, it doesn't matter what's happening in my outer world, I'm reminded that, I have a purpose to serve and I have a purpose to fulfill, and I got to show up, because there's people that, when they come to my page, they smile. They are reminded that the best is yet to come. They're reminded that there's so much more in store for them than their current circumstances. And I can't let something so temporary get in the way of me making that difference, me making that impact. And so I think when we remind ourselves of that, it makes it so much easier to tough out our own bad days, And so it's not just like we're doing something for our audience and serving them. We absolutely are, but it also comes back full force to us too, and helps us be stronger and push through our own issues, because we're just reminded like, hey, we've got bigger things to do. There's so much more than what's happening. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Don't believe the lie that you don't have something to share. You absolutely do. Every single one of you. Figure out how you can take what has happened in your life, and you can, use it for good. I think of, I can't remember the reference. I'm sure someone will like spout it out in the chat really quick, but the verse where it's in Job, where he says like, what the enemy meant to harm me, you, God, meant it for good. And I think about that so often with things that we've gone through, that if we can just simply like figure out how can I use this message to be a blessing to someone else, we can go out there and use what the enemy absolutely meant to harm us and absolutely meant to like be a bad thing in our life. We can let God use it for good, and we can let that be like a part of our message and a part of our, the platform that we're on. We can use that as a way to impact the world and impact other people, and we can be that person that that other people don't have in their life besides us. So I love you guys. I hope you guys have, Joseph talking about his brothers. Okay, thank you for correcting me. It's not Job. I feel like there's a similar verse about Job, right? Somebody tell me. But yeah, Joseph and his brothers, you're absolutely right. Thank you for that. But yeah, anyways, I don't remember what I was saying, but I hope that you guys really got something out of this and really have some things that you know, you're thinking about in your own mind now that you can go forward clearly on and execute on. Don't just like have these ideas and not do anything. Take my tip. When you have an idea for a post, start jotting down some notes so you don't forget it. When you have an idea for a live, just go get ready and do the live real quick before you forget it. When you have an idea for a story, go pop up that story. When you start just leading with your faith and leading with your gut instinct, you're going to find your business skyrockets. I was telling someone the other day, my gut rarely like steers me wrong with potentials, with conversations, with my posts, with my content, you name it. If I go with my gut, I'm good. It's only when I let my head get in the way that I self-sabotage. And it's probably the same with every single one of you guys. If you really get down to it, what are your best months in the business? They're the months you followed your heart, you followed your gut, you went with what you knew. But when you let your head get in the way, you overthink, you overcomplicate, and you eventually self-sabotage. So tell your head to go, follow your heart, follow your gut, go with what you know is deep inside of you and is literally begging to come out, bursting at the seams, and you're gonna find that you have literally the best year of 2020. I shared with the diamonds and above earlier, and this is the last thing I want to say, that if we can all really discover what our unique gifts are and we can bring them to the table and we can let our creative juices flow and really operate in our gifts, that is when we're going to really stand out. That coupled with the massive action that you guys are all committed to taking this year, that is where you're going to win on a whole new level, because anyone can take massive action and do great things. But when you have massive action coupled with your gifts and you're operating at your highest potential because you're using your voice and you're sharing what God's put inside of you, that is when you really become unstoppable. And that's when you really start reaching the masses. So I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a great night. I will get this recording up soon. I cannot wait to see all of you guys soon in a couple weeks at conference. I know all of you guys are going to be there. If you're not going to be there, you need to change that. Decide you are going to be there and get your ticket, because you got to get there, you guys. It's going to be life-changing, and I can't wait to hang out with you guys. So love you guys, and I will see you guys so soon. Bye, guys.